Oh, yeah. That's what we're looking for right there. We got lives right across the board. I'm a little sore today. I'll fill you in, but I can tell you for sure I am feeling alive, and nothing makes me feel more alive than this banger. That banger, once again, if you're actually, well, a couple of people already. Hey, live, obviously, still didn't hear it because why? Because I haven't. Oh, I could bore you with the details, but I'm not going to. If you want to hear the song I'm talking about, it's a banger. There's two ways that you could check it out. One, you could listen to the podcast in the podcast player of your choice. Myself, I'm an Overcast fella. I'm a fan of Overcast, but wherever you like to listen to your podcasts, be that Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever, I'm there. You can look it up. Easy to find. But better than that would be to just head on over to Bandcamp. Look up the Curry Brothers, who very generously are letting us use that song as our theme. That is Link Ray Gunn off of We Are the Curry Brothers. I highly suggest you check out that album. It is a banger, as me and the kids say. Speaking of bangers, I got a beauty from a brewery here. I used to get this brewery's beer a lot. Sorry, I'm just looking. There's light hitting off of a mustache hair. It really needs to be trimmed. I'm thinking of just shaving the whole beard off. You might have noticed it got significantly shorter. That happened. All right, I'm just going to have to ignore that. It's going to drive me crazy, though. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I used to get beers from this brewery all the time. And then I haven't much for a while. And I think I know why. It is Beyond the Pale, pride of Ottawa, Ontario. Not a town I get to too often. But for a spell there, I would see their beers super on the reg at my local Loblaws. And then I think it dropped off or they got moved to a different shelf or I don't know what happened. But when my friend, incidentally, one of my oldest friends in the beer scene from the early days when I was still cooking at Castro's, none other than Rob Mora, contacted me. He'd moved to work with Beyond the Pale a while back now, not a year, but months at least, maybe a year, I'm not sure. Said, hey, we got a little care package we'd like to send your way. We're making a real effort to expand our presence in GTA and southwestern Ontario. So could you shout us out a little? I said, yeah, I sure can, because I like your beers. They make this one. It's like a grapefruit wheat. Man, it's nice. Forgotten the name of it. It was in the care package and I drank it. They have a really nice, just like plain yellow lager called Clean Cut, I believe it's called, like that too. But tonight, I was tempted to go with a hazy boy, and this might be hazy, but it's not a hazy boy. This is Saison Tropicale. Notice the E on the end of the word tropical. That's why it's Tropicale. E's make the vowel say their name. Actually, I suppose in that argument it would be Tropicale, but you get the point. Yeah, it's going to be aromatherapy. You darn right it will be. I'm excited about this. Mostly, I just haven't had a Saison in a minute, and I wanted a Saison. What can I say? Does this look weird, by the way, if you're watching the video? Does it look like my head is floating in space? I'm wearing a black shirt, and for some reason, it's very black. It looks like I have no body. Anyway, oh, there's my arm in the Instagram machine. There it is in YouTube. I'm there. Anyway. That's neither here nor there. What is here and there is me pouring my Saison Tropicale from Beyond the Pale. Try and get this on the camera. Yeah. There you go, kids at home. This is how we pour beer. Free lesson. Into a glass, ideally. Your hands in a pinch. What do we have here? It's hazy, as you would expect with a Saison. Saisons can be quite clear, especially if they've been sitting for a while. They'll tend to drop clear or drop to bright, though you can normally agitate them back into a hazy appearance. Let's go with. This is hazy. It is yellow. It's basically yellow. It's not even really tending towards orange. I would assume this is going to be predominantly Pilsner malt. And because it's a Saison, and I am hopeful, Saisons often have other things in them in terms of the malt bill, we're going to take a sniff, take a sip, figure it out. There is also, I haven't read anything on the can, but there are pictures of citrus fruit on the can and pineapples. I just noticed, and a hop surfing with some pretty rad sunglasses on. So I got high hopes on this one. I'm assuming this is going to be a bit of what we would call a New World Saison, although maybe not with Brettanomyces. Maybe. There's only one way to find out. I gotta stop talking. I gotta wave at Kevin. Gotta stop talking. Gotta start sniffing. Oh, wow. That's that's fruitier than I was expecting right out of the gate. I still only sniffed it, kids. It's very citrusy. Like citrus juicy. Like, we'll see when I sip it. If there was citrus juice in it, it wouldn't surprise me. It's very aromatic. Holy moly, it smells really good. Yeah, like orange juice and a bit of grapefruit. Not so much peel. This is all juice we're talking about here. Spiciness, but it's not hop spiciness, I don't think. It's probably a little bit yeast, but there might be rye too. I might be sniffing some rye. Sniffing rye sounds a bit like a funny thing to say, but yeah, and oh, definitely yeast. Getting some spicy yeast notes and maybe a little hint of almost bubblegumminess, which you would normally get off a wheat beer, but you can get off of Saison. I'm trying to decide if I want to go into this right now before I start drinking. Bubblegum is a weird smell, and we're just going to leave it at that. You should look into what the actual flavor components in bubblegum are. Might blow your mind. There's a bit of bubblegum to this guy. Oh, Love Good Things says they got to go. Thanks for signing off. I appreciate that. Most people just disappear. I'm going to drink this because I've been talking long enough. Just had to burp first. That's very interesting. Huh. Hang on. I need another sip. Remember how confused I was last week if you follow along on the reg? I'm not going to be that confused, but I'm a little confused. That's incredible. Huh. That's so weird. You smell a lot of citrus. The taste is just Saison. It is big time Saison yeast. A little spicy. Not phenolic, but spice cupboard spicy. Clovey, actually. A little clovey, maybe. There is almost definitely rye malt in there. Or maybe not malt. It might be rye. It might not be malted rye. But there's rye in there for sure. There's almost certainly wheat in there. I'm going to go with just Pilsner malt. I'm not getting any... Sometimes I get tricky and I like to put a little Vienna in my Saison when I used to brew a lot, which I don't really do anymore. But I liked a bit of Vienna in my Saison. And actually, as I like to point out, I actually like a mix of Vienna and Munich at 3 parts Vienna to 2 parts Munich. I know you're thinking, why not just do it 50-50? Too much Munich, too caramely. I like the Vienna. It's a little bit more on the bready, pumpernickel-y almost kind of side. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Honestly, the fruit that I get off this is almost strawberry. That's what it is. It's strawberry and strawberry tops. It's the hops. There's a leafy quality to it. So like strawberry top with some strawberry. And there is some citrus juice in there, but it's way less prevalent than I was expecting it to be. The beer is predominantly creamy and dry with a pretty moderate carbonation, a little prickly. A lot of yeast spice. And like I say, if there isn't rye in that beer, I would almost not believe the source. There has to be rye in that beer. Maybe not a lot, but it's in there. There's an interesting weight to the body, especially there's some, cantaloupe, by the way, just got that. What was I saying? No, body, yeah, especially given how dry it is. Huh, I want well, if there's wheat and rye in there, they can kick a lot of protein in. Huh, I'm curious about that hop now. There is a leafy thing, again, strawberry top is what I'm thinking because I got a little strawberry juice. But there's more to it than that. I think some of that spice is coming off of that hop, which could be something a little spicy, like a French hop. That would be something. But I almost wonder if this is more, well, it could be Golding and it could be a New World Golding. Not sure about that one. This is a complicated, very delicious beer. Not what I was expecting. Not that I wasn't expecting it to be delicious. It's just not the way that it's delicious is not how I was expecting it to be delicious. I thought it was going to be like more like a Sunlight Park from left field, which is very fruit juicy with a ton of Saison kick. This is like a ton of Saison with like a bit of a fruity thing going on. Yeah. I mean, actually, the citrus is kind of all over the map. There's a bit of lime to it too, maybe. Um, there is the liminess is almost peely. Like there's a bit of an oily peel quality to it, but it's not like overwhelmingly bitter at all. It's very much a saison, creamy. The more I drink this, the more I think, yeah, again, wheat and rye. There might be oats in there too. Oats give I can't quite quantify it, but a denser kind of weight that I think this has. Oh, hey, Rob Curry's joined in on Instagram. Cheers to you, sir. Very pleased with that theme song. Getting back onto that. Um, okay, I'm going to wrap this up on the tasting notes. So this is Saison Tropicale from Beyond the Pale. What do we got? Big Saison notes. Spicy yeast, 100%. Definitely rye in there. I'm going to look that up, but I'm pretty sure. Probably wheat too, and maybe some oats. The main things I get are yeast spice, a bit of spiciness off the hops, some fruitiness that is kind of hitting in the berry range. And again, with that leafy hop thing, makes me think strawberry tops, like with the strawberry still sort of attached. There is some citrus, very orange juicy, maybe tangerine on the nose. On the palate, a lot less fruit or citrus juice, but there is some. I'm actually getting a little bit of lime more than anything. Oh, and look, Rob Rob Moore has joined in. Rob, we're drinking Saison Tropicale. Liking it. Unpacking it, man. There's a lot going on here. All the fruit pictures on the label, if those are all in there, surprising to me. There is definitely some fruitiness, but man, this is a saison, first and foremost, and I like it for that. Fairly dry body, maybe not quite to the biting level of dryness, but it's saison. It's dry as. I'm just noticing it's 7.7% alcohol. Whew. This could be New World. Brett will chew through everything and make alcohol out of almost anything. Mm-mm-mm. I still get a little glimmer of melon. I'm getting more citrus. I would say as this is warming, but this hasn't been open or out of the icebox that long. It could be that that's some related more to maybe peel and also hops. Those acidic or not acidic, bitter qualities, alpha acids in the context of hops can build. We talk about this, right? Your first sip, you might not get many, but that bitterness can kind of build on your palate. The citrus I'm getting now is very citrus peely as opposed to juicy, and it's nice. I am curious about the hopping. I'm going to go to the can. Oh, there isn't much information on the can. At Beyond the Pale, we believe in fun. I believe in fun too. I also believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of my heart. Beer should be fun to make, fun to drink, and fun to share. Enjoy. We're really good at this. I got to tell you, I agree with everything that says. It should be fun. Beer should be fun to make, drink, and share. And they are really good at this. Certainly every beer I've had, and that's not a few. I agree entirely. Oh, there is ingredients here. What do we got? Water. No duh. I feel like a kid. I feel like my kid. Grace would say that to me. Thanks, babe. Water, malted barley, malted wheat. It is malted rye. Oats. Doesn't say if they're naked or naked. Still haven't. No one's weighed in on that, by the way. And I did specifically ask. Oats, hops, and yeast. Doesn't say much more about that. I'm going to look it up on the interwebs and see. Pardon me. Choking on my own words, apparently. Beyond the Pale Saison Tropicale. What's the juicy hops suspended in a pulp like grain bill can produce? That's an interesting way of wording it. Where every sip echoes of the tranquility of summer beaches. Sorry, that was, I put in punctuation, not exist. Let me try that again. Where every sip echoes the tranquility of summer beaches, and with every exhaled breath, pineapples flow within you. I don't know if I'm getting a ton of pineapple, to be perfectly frank with you. But you know what? Pineapple's tricky for me sometimes. I think I can miss that more than I can get it. That's all it says. Doesn't give me any more details. That's okay though. I am curious, and I suspect the citrus is hop related. But I'm also getting a lot of leafiness. It's making me wonder if maybe a lot of the time I find New World's iterations of hops, and sorry, not New World, Ontario specifically iterations of hops. Um, the I don't know what it is about our growing climate, but they tend to be more herbal and earthy than their otherwise grown counterparts. So, for instance, Cascade from Ontario, Cascade should be orange peely and a little pine danky, but Ontario Cascade often, in my mind and to my palate, actually hits into leafy, planty kind of territory, still with citrus and pine, but you get a much more herbal, earthy quality out of it. I find, and I've found that with other varieties of hops. None that I'm going to list off the top of my head because, to be honest with you, I can't remember. It's been a long pandemic, but I wonder if maybe that could be part of it. Could be. Don't know if they use local hops. Doesn't say. Normally, people tend to paste that on what they make if they do, partially because it's a cool thing and partially because they tend to be pretty expensive. So if you've dropped top dollar on the ingredients, you want people to know you're using them. Mm-mm-mm. Rob says, thank you, Rob, for chiming in. Citra hops, lots and lots and lots of Citra hops. Don't believe there are locally grown Citra. Citra is a tricky one because it is a licensed hop. You have to pay, I think, YCH to grow it. There's a license. So it is lots and lots of Citra hops. That sort of makes sense. I just can't get over how saison-y it is, which is maybe a little unfair. Like, it wasn't that I was expecting it not to be a good saison. I was just expecting it to be a lot more fruit-driven in its taste, whereas it's very much a saison in the best possible way. I like it a lot. It's interesting, actually, now that I know that it is specifically Citra, is that's great when a because I'm almost positive there isn't Brettanomyces in this, by the way. I don't get any funkiness. I just get a ton of Saison yeast off of it. Actually, now that I say that, no, I'm going to stick with my guns. So it's like a tradition. And again, it's got rye and oats and wheat in it. It's a fairly traditional sounding Saison, and yet it's made with a New World hop, which has made it significantly citrusier than you would typically expect. Very cool. I enjoy this a lot. I'm actually super glad that there's more in this glass. I'm going to pour it out. Oh, and of course, it is a Saison. That did opaque up the glass just a little bit more, as often happens. Saisons tend to settle a little bit. Just sniffing it now with that last little bit from the can in there. You know, it's interesting. The peel quality of the citrus is definitely growing in my senses. It still smells quite juicy and really doesn't taste juicy. It tastes a bit peely. Um, and that is definitely building on my cheeks, that bitterness. But again, main takeaway, spicy Saison yeast, definitely rye. Pretty sure I'm definitely tasting wheat. Pretty sure I'm definitely, that's an interesting way of putting it. Really delightful. I tend to eschew providing a seasonal reference to a beer. I would be very happy drinking this in January. But this is a beer that you could probably put away a couple. Well, again, go tread lightly at 7.7% alcohol. But this is a beer for warm days on the patio or the beach. Drink it anytime. But you would really like it then, believe you me. Yeah, I dig this. The weight of it's so nice too. If I may be so bold, and I will toot my own horn a little bit here, when you make a Saison, especially if you make it with a really aggressive yeast, like a French Saison yeast or a New World yeast that actually blends Brettanomyces in with it as well, when you do that, some giant leaf on my leg. I don't know where that came from. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. When you do that, the risk is you lose body because those yeasts can ferment a ton of sugar, leaving the beer almost at no sugar, residual sugar, which on the one hand makes for a very dry beer, but it can also make for a fairly thin-bodied beer. I say this is why I don't believe it's why historically Saisons were made with alternate grains like rye and wheat and oats and spelt, believe it or not, would show up from time to time. I think that was more a function of trying to use a bit more of what was on hand. The knock-on effect, though, is that you do get beers that have, in terms of sugar content, a very dry body, but those grains, and especially depending on how you mash them, can provide a lot of protein, a lot of weight to the body, which is quite nice indeed. This beer has got that in. And then, yeah, like I say, I mean, as Rob pointed out, Citra hops, that's an interesting take, and I like where it's going. It's interesting because I still get a bit of a leafy thing with a touch of berry to it. I mean, that's possibly partially the interplay with the wheat. Um, but the leafy quality, I'm almost certain, is the hop. Citra isn't necessarily always leafy that way, but it can have a bit of that green. What I'm dancing around is when we say dank, we're talking about a bit of a weed smell to it. And this one isn't rife with it, but there's a touch of it, which I, in this case, like quite people mean when they say that it's herbal. Just giving you the inside track, kids. Beer people, which it's really funny when you think about beer people in Canada where weed has been legal for like, I don't know how many years. Long enough that I've forgotten. So long enough. It's interesting how much mental and acrobatics people will do to try and avoid tying the flavor or aroma of a beer to marijuana. Hops and cannabis are related, guys. There's a lot of crossover there. So anyway, we need to get into the politics of that. That's neither here nor there. This beer does everything I want it to. Way less citrus than I was expecting, as in it doesn't have citrus juice in it. It's just driven by the hops, which is impressive. 7.7% alcohol, punches, but it does not have any alcoholic heat. The finish is just dry and spicy. Oh, wait. Rob's back. Built like a traditional Saison, Pilsner malts, and French Saison yeast, then hopped and dry hopped of IPAs. Totally agree. It's doing it just right. Just right. I am curious what French Saison yeast. Because I'll just keep on geeking out the longer you let me go. This is fantastic. This is getting wider distribution in the province of Ontario. I believe I had a note and I've said it somewhere. I believe we're talking LCBO, we're talking grocery, obviously bars as well. If you go to a place and they don't have Beyond the Pale, ask. That's actually one of the best things you can do. Salespeople, if they're even allowed in the LCBO right now, which they weren't for a long time during the pandemic, uh, are rather looked upon as, at best, a mild inconvenience to the staff of the LCBO. And I say that having been one. Actually, I say that having been on both sides of the counter. Um, the flip, though, is if a customer asks for a beer and that brewery's rep has recently or is about to recently be in, that can be really helpful for the brewery. So if you are interested in Saison Tropicale, and if you like delicious things, you should be, go to your local LCBO, look around for it, and if they have it, buy it. And if they don't, say, hey, what's going on with that Saison Tropicale from Beyond the Pale all the kids are talking about? And by kids, I clearly mean legal drinking age ones, like my friend, the old man on the podcast. Uh, but mention it to them that it would be a beer you would be interested in having brought in, and that helps a lot. So do that. Hit up your local LCBO. I'm not sure if that's as effective in a grocery store, but it doesn't hurt to try. Ask for it by name. I'm pretty sure I saw it looked like Beyond the Pale. It is 3711. I love that yeast. I'm assuming Rob is listening to me and then texting people at the brewery and then getting responses back. Or Rob, pardon me, if you know this stuff off the top of your head, that wouldn't surprise me either. Oh, they have a chat with us function on their website. There's a touch of wheat and rye. Damn right, I'm right. Well, I also know that because I read the ingredients, but I tasted it first. If we buy beer, what's the shipping sitch? Okay, so home delivery if you're in the Ottawa area, totally reasonable. And then a range of choices if you're outside of Ottawa but inside the province, because unless that's changed recently, the one thing nobody can do is ship outside the province. But you can get it shipped. Oh, look, there's a shipping FAQ. It's a link. Shipping parcels handled by Canada Post, my employer. And how long does shipping take? 2 to 4 days. 5+ in destinations outside of major urban areas. It says during this COVID period, we're experiencing some delays beyond our 5+ in destinations outside of major urban areas. It says during this COVID period, we're experiencing some delays beyond